Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Legacy Up. Appreciate every single one of you that has been tuning into these videos. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Giovanni Rodriguez. I'm a serial entrepreneur, used to be in corporate for almost 10 years, different leadership positions, and ended up on the entrepreneurial journey, and now looking to build a legacy. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to speak to all of you. This channel, I'm focusing on helping people find what their legacy is and build it. And we're going to be focusing on the different aspects of legacy. I'm going to be even looking to interview some people and bring them to all of you so you could get an insight into different ways people are building their legacies, what their thoughts are on legacy, and long-term success, right? And that's what this channel is about. So if you're interested in that type of content, motivational, educational content to help you legacy up, level up, to help you become a better person, to help you create a true impact in society, to create a true impact to the people who come in contact with you. Because I think sometimes we may have it a little bit twisted on what a legacy actually is, and it's not always about the wealth, it's not always about businesses or creating wealth through businesses. Sometimes it's about creating a true impact, and that's what it should be about, creating a true impact in people, so that when you are gone, you are remembered for that impact that you made. You're remembered for that legacy you created. So that's what this channel is about. Thank you for tuning in. And if you are interested in more, I would really appreciate it for you to just subscribe to this channel, hit the like button. It'll really help us reach more people and create more legacy builders, people who want to make a difference, people who know they have potential to do great things. And if you don't know you have potential, guess what? You do, and you can create great things and build a legacy so that when you're gone, your legacy lives on and you've left the impact, the positive impact in the world. So let's get to it. On this one, this is an interesting episode, because this one I'm gonna go in a totally different direction that I haven't really gone on the channel yet, because I am a very spiritual person. I believe that the spiritual journey of each person, right, is unique. I know there's a lot of different beliefs out there. I'm not here to push any type of religion on anybody. I don't think really religion is the way, or I don't like that word religion and putting people in a box. I believe that there's a spiritual world and there's spiritual laws that exist. We can't ignore them. I believe that they're operating within our lives, and we have to understand what these spiritual laws are to be able to continue to grow and create a true impactful legacy. And we have to understand this because these spiritual laws are always influencing and impacting the way we make decisions, the way and the results we get are impacted by these spiritual laws. And even if you like it or not, if you believe in it or not, I've had experiences. I know a lot of people who have had experiences with dealing with spiritual concepts and how those spiritual concepts actually come to fruition in their lives, and they could see it come to life, certain aspects in their lives due to different spiritual concepts. So I'm going to be touching on just 3 in this video, because I don't want to make it too extensive, right? Because there are various spiritual laws. There's more than 3, but I want to focus on 3 in this video, and I'm going to be giving verses specifically for those 3 from the Bible. In this case, from the Bible, I'll be getting some verses so we can associate it to each one of these spiritual laws. And I hope you enjoy it, and I'd love to hear your comments on what you think, and maybe some other spiritual laws that I maybe didn't mention that you may like to see in another video. So let's get to it. Now, the first one, all right, I got it right here because I want to make sure I when I give this type of information, especially quoting something, I want to make sure I read it out exactly how it is written, so there's no confusion. We could go over it and digest it and analyze it. So the first concept I want to go over is give and you shall receive. I know a lot of you may have heard this a lot, and you're like, oh well, is that really a spiritual concept? Or, well, yes, it is. And we could find it, one of the verses, because there's various verses on specifically giving in the Bible, but this one I want to go through it because I liked it a lot. It's Proverbs chapter 18 verse 16 is, a gift opens the way and ushers the giver into the presence of the great. Wow, right? A gift opens the way and ushers the giver into the presence of the great. I like to use an example for this one before going into it. Something that stood with me, and I heard this conversation, and I've now borrowed this story because it impacted me a lot. And it was basically talks about how when we go into a room of people, be it if we're talking about a room of individuals in your corporate job, a team, if you're talking about a group of business owners or a group of potential clients, if you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is, whichever room you guys and girls are walking into, whatever room it is, you have to make sure that when you leave that room, that the people in that room, their feet are cleaner or clean and not dirty. So that means that every time you step in a room, you should be looking to give and not just receive. You should be looking to see how you can provide value and humbly suggest and provide value before being arrogant and thinking that automatically you should be receiving something right out the gate. When we come in with this attitude and we understand this spiritual law, then things start to change, and you start to go into great places. If you notice that it says, when you do this, it ushers the giver into the presence. So when you are giving and when you are thinking of leaving always value and making sure when you leave each room, people's feet are clean, or that's a metaphor for you have provided value to everybody in that room before you've left that room, then that will usher you in to great places. It will usher you in. It will lead you to the results you're looking for. It will lead you to success. It will lead you to your legacy. So we have to understand these concepts. It's you give and you shall receive. If you go in with an attitude of this air of I deserve this, or I'm super intelligent, so I should obviously get this contract, or I should obviously have these clients, and I obviously should be wealthy. We can't go into places with this attitude of just taking advantage of situations. I learned this early on. I mean, in the corporate world, I admit I was more of that taker mentality, because in the corporate, you're always looking to see what you can get out of the situation, how you can, in negotiations and different factors, it's sort of like that mentality is not there of giving. You're actually looking to see what can you take out of this situation so that you can receive something and make sure you come out on top in the deal. Now in entrepreneurship, and as I've grown spiritually and matured, and I continue to learn things spiritually, I realize that the more it's all about your intentions and your heart. You could give, but if you're not giving with the intention of your heart to actually provide true value and do it because you really want to help people and you really want to make a positive impact and you really want to provide true value, if that's not intentional and your heart is not in it, in the spiritual world, that is sense. And spiritually, you cannot hide that. So you won't be able to trick the spirit in that sense. You can't. So you have to understand, give and you shall receive, but it has to be from your heart. It has to be truly intentional. You have to truly want to give, and that takes a mindset shift. That takes a spiritual shift. And once you do that, though, it's clear there. That's when greatness comes. When you're willing to give, when you're willing to not focus on the money all the time. Yes, we need money, and you're not going to say no to money, right? Obviously, you need that to be able to what? To bless other people, to be able to take care of people in your team, to take care of people that are going to grow along with you, that have supported you, that have provided value to you. You want to be able to, right, through what you receive, be able to give. So it's not that you're not going to want money, but you need to be willing to, when it's necessary and when it is the correct thing to do, always provide value first and foremost, and always be willing to give before having the mentality of always taking and receiving. So that's a really big spiritual law principle, and definitely you should start putting it into practice to see how things will start to shift in your business, in your personal life. Let's go to number 2. Let's go. Here it is. It's, you guys have heard this one. Reap what you sow. You will reap what you sow. And let's see the verse here. It's in Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. It says, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever man sows, that he will also reap." There's no... I find it funny how before it talks about you reap what you sow. It specifically says there are no tricks. There is no... That's the crazy thing about the spiritual laws and principles. And I think a lot of people don't understand this, and I'm glad we're on this conversation. I'm glad to explain it to you so you can start opening your mind and being more open about it for those who aren't as open. The spiritual world and spiritual laws, doesn't matter if you believe or not. It doesn't matter your opinion. It is working in the background, right? Air, you cannot see it, yet you feel it, and yet it operates around you, right? The oxygen we breathe in, when the wind blows on a hot day and it cools us off, it's operating even though we don't see it. It's there. And spiritual concepts and laws are the same way. You may not understand them fully, you may not know them or have experienced them on a personal level, but that does not mean that they're not operating within your atmosphere. They are. And I like that in the beginning it says, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked," which basically means don't think that what's happening or what is being, what is these spiritual laws, don't think that they're not happening. Don't think that things are not being seen. What you do is not being seen. How you act and what you sow is not being taken into consideration. It is. Everything you sow, you shall reap. I think this is a big one. A lot of people don't understand, and I remember this from when I was back in the corporate world. I used to see a lot of nasty things, people trying to move forward and go up the ranks, with nasty attitudes and a lot of, not, very unethical ways of thinking and doing whatever it took, but not in the good sense that we talk about on this channel, totally taking it to a different negative sense of doing everything it takes, literally everything, meaning doesn't matter values, doesn't matter ethics, none of that. And that's not the correct way to do it, because these spiritual laws and principles will come and they will operate, and what you sow, you are going to reap. So if you sow trickery, if you sow deceit, if you sow lies, then that is what you shall reap. And you have to understand this in your business and personal life. It's really important that whatever we are sowing into other people, we are planting seeds in other people. We're planting seeds in different individuals. And we have to recognize this. With our words, we can sow. With our words are very powerful. We can sow things into other people when we speak out. There's even a spiritual significance in terms of words and how our words make impact in the spiritual world, but that's a different conversation and that's for a different video. But even our words can sow emotions and different emotions in people that can impact their lives. For example, when somebody says to you, "Oh, you're not gonna amount to too much because you're not smart enough. You think you could do that? Nah, nobody's done that in our family, so you're not gonna be able to do it." Or, you know what? You have a disability. You're not gonna be able to, achieve that shit. People who are quote unquote, normal can't even achieve certain things, and you having this, or you being from this background, or you coming from this neighborhood, or you coming from this college, or whatever it may be, you can't do that. Those are words that are sown into people, and if you let that become fertile and land into your spirit, it starts to reap, and that reaping is negative. It's doubt, self-doubt, unmotivation, depression, different things start to reap, and a lot of people don't realize that. That's what they're like, I don't know why I get anxiety, I don't know why I'm like this, and why I feel this way. I don't understand. It's because maybe you've been letting people sow things into you that shouldn't be there and you shouldn't have accepted. So it goes both ways. You sow, but also people can sow things into you that can then reap either positive or negative effects in your life. So very careful with that. Be careful what you're allowing people to sow into you, which is why I always say you should look for mentors and people who are willing to sow great things into you, who are willing to help you along the way, even through your mistakes. They're willing to understand you and willing to sow great things into you, and that's what you're going to reap. So careful with that, and careful with how you're reacting to people as well, and what you're sowing into people, because you may not notice that you may be sowing negative things into people's lives, and guess what? The same way you're sowing into their lives, guess what? It's not only gonna reap for them, but those things that come out and they reap will eventually come back to you, and then you will also reap those same negative things that you sowed into others, and now you're sowing into yourself. So the spiritual world works that way. People sometimes think they're gonna be able to. They sometimes think, right, but it's not. It says it right there. God can't be mocked. You're not gonna get away with it. Whatever you sow, if it's negative and there's something bad, and you did something bad to somebody to move up, or in this negotiation you decided to change some things up after the contract was signed, or you decided to hide certain clauses and not mention certain things that were supposed to be mentioned, that which you are sowing, you shall reap. So you shall see negative things come back to you. And that's why a lot of people, even though they're smart, even though they're quote unquote have great minds, they end up in very negative situations because they're not watching what they're sowing, and what they're sowing they are reaping. So keep that in mind. Let's go to our third and last point here, and it's fulfill your duty, fulfill your purpose. And this, we're going to use Psalms 138, chapter 138, verse 8, and it is, "The Lord will fulfill his purpose for me. Your steadfast love, O Lord, endures forever. Do not forsake the work of your hands." So here it's saying that our purpose, our duty, we have to have that clear. We're all responsible for discovering the unique talents that we have been born with. I touched a little bit on this on other videos, but not on the spiritual aspect. The spiritual aspect is we have all been created, and we're in this earth, and this vessel is our physical body, but there's a spirit inside of us, and this is just a vessel for that spirit, and we have to determine why has that spirit, why are we in this vessel, this body, and why we have come into this moment in time. Why were we born in this moment of time? There's a purpose. There's a purpose behind it. And you have to fulfill that purpose. You have to discover what those unique talents are. You have to discover why it is that certain things have happened in your life, and why it is that you were born into different circumstances, and why. Because then when you find out that why, you find your purpose, and you can start building that legacy. And you will then know why it is you're here, and then now your legacy becomes clear. Now you're able to know where you're going to make your impact in the world, because we're all going to be able to make it in different places, in different ways, because we're so different, because we have different circumstances, we come from different backgrounds and different experiences. That allows for us to create a very unique legacy, a very unique impact in our community, in our society, and in the world. We can create a unique impact because our experiences are very unique, because we are unique, and we have very specific, unique talents that we've been granted. And spiritually, we have to unleash those talents. We have to be able to recognize what those talents are, what has been bestowed to us, what we've been given. And then when we recognize those talents, when we recognize that, then we find our purpose, and we're able to build the correct legacy. Like I've told you before in other videos, I believe a part of my legacy is through music. Eventually it will come through music as well, because I've been given a voice that can impact people, and I can spiritually impact them while also physically and emotionally impact them through my instrument, which is my voice, which I've been granted. And that's one unique talent I've figured out in myself, that I have a passion for, and that I've been given. But we have more than one unique talent, so we have to figure out what those unique talents are and how we're going to fit those into our legacy. You know, maybe you have a different type of, maybe you're born with the gift of being able to connect with people very easily. You're a very extroverted person. You're able to get conversations going, and you're able to really connect with people on a personal level very easily. Well, maybe your legacy is linked to helping people on a personal level, and really connecting with them to help them solve a very specific issue that they wouldn't open up to everybody about, right? That could be one thing. Maybe you're a very kind-hearted person. You're a very patient and loving person. Well, maybe you were brought, and your purpose is to help build people up, help take care of people who have been broken down, who have been abused, who have been neglected. Maybe that's why you've been given those specific gifts, so that you can show them, you can show them love, so they can show them and open up their minds to maybe things they didn't think were possible. Maybe that's what you were called for. So you get what I'm saying? You have to focus on, because we all have those talents, but sometimes we just get so busy in life, we go over them. We don't think they're talents. We just think it's just, that's who I am. I'm a cool person, or I have this talent, but that's not really going to get me anywhere. No, you have to really think we all have these very unique talents we've been given, and spiritually it says there that we will fulfill our purpose, but we have to fulfill it looking towards a higher power, looking towards understanding the spiritual concepts, understanding our purpose here on earth, understanding that there's a higher purpose. And once we do that spiritually, we start going deeper into the spiritual aspect of things, and we start growing spiritually. We start nurturing that spiritual side of ourselves, and we start looking for that purpose. We start looking for those hidden inner talents that we may have. Then the legacy starts to become clear, and then our impact starts to increase. So I want all of us to fulfill the purpose we have been given while on this earth. I want all of us to be able to really make a true impact in the world, in our society, in our communities. But it starts with us realizing how great we are, how much talent we truly have, and we must unleash that, and we must be aware of the spiritual laws that exist to help us reach these goals. We must be aware of the spiritual laws that are there to help us reach new heights that we didn't imagine were possible. So please look at this video, look at these different points that I have brought, and let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you've had any experiences with any of these spiritual laws, and I would love to hear from all of you, your stories that you may have. And I mean, let's look to be more aware of the spiritual side of things as we move forward and building our legacies, because there's a lot of concepts and a lot of practical things we're going to go over that will help us build our legacy and help us become better at what we're trying to achieve. And that's great, but we can't ignore the fact that along the way the spiritual aspect is going to be there, and we must take it into consideration to help achieve even greater things and impact in the world and in society. So thank you all for tuning in and listening. I appreciate every single one of you. I hope to see you on the next video. Remember, dropping one within the next 24 hours. We're doing these videos daily. I appreciate it, and let's legacy up. Let's go. Appreciate every one of you. Take care.